Team Junkyard Dog here today, and today we are going to be working on Grando. Now, if you follow the channel, last time we were at Dr. Dan's, and Dr. Dan's is the hobby shop in Titusville, and we were on their rock crawler course and I exploded my front diff. Now, to give you the quick history on this is an Amazon car that I put on cheap Chinese axles that were basically copies of SCX-10, and I guess the tolerances are a little bit more loose than what a SCX-10 would be. Therefore, I blew the front differential out. Now, I did go into the hobby shop because I always try to support the hobby shop if I can. And I bought this front gear set without even opening the front of my truck. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that these gears not only are going to match the rear gears, but that they're actually going to fit inside of the differential. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead, we're going to take the top off, we're going to try to repair this differential to get old Grando back on the crawler course. All right, so here's the front of old Grando. If I accidentally call this truck Rango at some point, I may. That's the actual 8th scale crawler that Laegendary makes. Yeah, I tend to cross my words quite a bit. Let's go ahead. We're going to take the tires off. We're going to remove this steering link right here. Get that servo horn out of the way. And then we're going to open this front diff case and see what's up. Alright, so we got the cover open. Looking for some damage in here. Let's see if we can see exactly if it was the ring gear or the pinion. I don't see anything wrong with the ring, so it might have to be the pinion. If that's the case, I'm probably going to have to drop the whole entire axle out. I don't know, I don't work on these a lot. Tell me, do you take the axle out or do you leave it in? Drop a comment. I'm going to go ahead and pull these ends off right here so I can slide the axles out and maybe that center chunk will fall out. What we're doing now is we're going to go ahead, we're going to pull these retainers out. This one's actually loose, this one's not, so we can pop out this ring gear here. I think it's all called the same as on a full-size car. The diff was still working somewhat, but it was certainly clicking and popping. And if you put it under a bind, it was not happy. All right, so we got those retainers out. Pop these bearings out, wiggle this free. And there goes the center chunk. Get some of this grease off of it. Look for signs of damage. Well, I can see some damage. I'll try to zoom in the footage, but you can see that the edge of these gears right here are chipped off. Probably a tolerance issue. This thing's sloppy as no tomorrow, and this is going to be the new one. The way I feel, I want to just cheat and stick this one in, but I know I'd be better off by swapping both gears in, so we're going to do that. Let's pop that pinion out. I'm going to disconnect the drive shaft in the back side. I don't know if you can see this or not, but there is an E-clip right here. We got to pop that E-clip off. Maybe we keep it in this atmosphere. There you go. Got it that time. All right, I'm going to flip this over. I'm just going to push that out or tap it out. There's the washer. And there's the gear. Slide that bearing off. And if you notice, I'm putting piles for each screw set so I don't get all this stuff confused. But now I'm going to give you a closer look of both gears. Apparently the tolerances were horrible on these two. Let's go ahead and take a closer look. All right, so this is the pinion gear. I don't see any real damage on this gear. But if we switch over right here on this ring, I don't know if I can angle it to where you can see it in the light, but the teeth are quite a bit chunky. Teeth are quite a bit chunky right up here. So that's the spot it was slipping and popping. I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did, to be honest. What we need to do now is we're going to go ahead and install the new stuff. And hopefully it fits. This is the first time I've ever tore into one of these differentials. And I noticed that in the end of this pinion right here, that there's a nut in there that was coming loose. I'm going to be getting a blue Loctite out for this thing. So apparently this little axle is a copy from an SCX10, because all these parts that I've bought so far, the axles, these gears, are all from an SCX10. So my word of advice to you would be buy an SCX10 axle if you want to upgrade the axle in your Grando, because by the time you buy the knockoffs and then fix everything, you could have just bought the real thing. But if I did that, we wouldn't have content. A little blue Loctite this time. Go ahead and slide this back in. You can't see it, but I'm just putting the washer and the E-clip back on the back side. Okay, so I cannot quite get this groove to come out far enough on the back side, so there is a slight difference apparently between the gears. But I noticed that this has a ever so slight little bump on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grind that bump off, and then we're going to try again. Bump is gone. Let's try to reinstall. I think I can see the groove now, so I think we're going to be in good shape. Almost there. And the E-clip's on. Yay! Cheers for everyone. So you can see some of the issues that you run into whenever you buy cheap axles. Things just aren't always up to snuff. So now we got to swap everything over to this gear. And it actually looks like this gear is totally different. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can take this apart. It looks like a solid chunk to me, but the original SCX10 is in pieces, apparently. So I'm hoping I don't have to put the broken one back in there and just hope the tolerances are better, because I don't know if that's going to work or not. The gears seem to mesh, so it's a possibility. But let me see what I can come up with, and I'll let you guys know. Okay, so apparently this is all just one piece, and this is made to be in pieces. So what I'm going to have to do is order this centerpiece for this SCX10 ring. Like I said, I really didn't know what I was getting into when I did this. So we're just going to go ahead and install this one back in for time being. And hopefully these little minor chips will be filled with this new pinion on the inside. So we're going to go ahead and just start reassembling everything. So we got the gear reinstalled. Everything's working. There's not very much slop in there. I'm going to try to get it over to the bad section. It's a little clunky in that section, but the slop isn't that bad. What I think happened is if you buy one of these, make sure you come back in and Loctite these little retainers right here, because this one was loose. And so what probably happened is this screw was backing out, allowing this to wobble, causing that slip in there. But I'm hoping that I can just leave it as is, and it'll last me a few trips anyway. So I mean, I probably could have gotten away with just tightening this and called it a day, but you don't know until you tear into it. Next we need to lube this thing up. I like to do the grease in a syringe. This is high temp waterproof grease. Put a little extra in there just for grins. Go ahead and get our diff cover back on. And just like that, that's going to be our repair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put all this stuff back on. There's no point in making you rewatch this. It would just be in reverse order of how we took it apart. And then next we're going to go out and test it, see if we can get these wheels in a bind, and see if the gears are going to hold up or not. All right, so we're out front. We're trying her out, see if we get any clicking or popping going on. I got Marky Mark here, fresh home from work, helping me out.
Yo, yo.
Now this little course isn't going to be much of a challenge for this truck, but maybe we can get it in some kind of a bind.
Is there anything on the other side of that?
Nope.
Oh. There's just nothing there. You have a ton of steering.
Oh, you got it this time. Oh, I heard it.
Was that the gear?
I don't know. Oh. Yep.
I think that's the Servo, maybe. No?
Nope. I'm gonna have to get the other part. I think I'm just gonna get SCX 10 axles. So as you can see, the repair was not that successful. We're still got a clicking in the front end when it gets under an extreme bind. So what I'm gonna do is I think I'm just gonna scrap these axles. I'm gonna get some SCX 10 axles or just go back with the stock axle because these cheap knockoffs, they're just not working out too well. But at least you got to see how to fix yours if you do have these axles or SCX 10 axles. Until next time, we're Team Junkyard Dog and we're out.